Hi there. Today I want to show you how you can create a basic checklist in Canva that you can use as an opt-in freebie to grow your email list. So let's get started. When I create a checklist from scratch, I always go over here to create a design. And in the United States, 8.5 by 11 is the perfect size because it's easy for your customers to print out. I know in other countries it could be different, so make sure to select whatever size of page you need for your audience. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to use 8.5 by 11. And then I'm going to click Create New Design. The next thing I'm going to do is come up here and I'm going to change the title. For our purposes, I'm just going to call this Checklist Demo. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is go on over here and add some text. Do that by clicking Text. And this is just from my brand kit. You can come here and just go to Add a Text Box. And I'm going to move this up here. I'm going to center it. And then we're just going to call this title. Checklist title. And I also would like to make that bigger so we can see it. And you can change your fonts simply by clicking here. I'm going to leave this as checklist title. I'm going to make this, let's say, 28. And I want to make it bold so it stands out. Highlight that and just click bold. Perfect. The next thing I'm going to do is bring this on up here. Now, you might notice on my screen I have my margin showing. This dotted line is just the 1-inch margin for a printable page. It does not print out when your customer prints it. And the way I got that to show is simply by going to File, View Settings, and you can do all kinds of things. So I can show my margin, or if I don't want to see it, I can turn it off just like that. Okay. And you can also show a ruler and a guide. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I go to my, here it's just, you can see the dimensions of the page up and down. And then if you, let's say, want to design something that comes out to a 1/2 inch rather than the full inch, you can bring this back to 0.489, so that's about a 1/2 inch. And then you would see that line when you're doing your design. Okay. All right, moving on. The next thing I'm going to do is add another text box underneath my first one. And this one is for a subheading. So I'm just going to leave it as your paragraph text. All right, the next thing we need is a box next to each item to check off. So let's go to a square. Okay, and then I'm going to go into graphics. You can go to lines and shapes, but the only one they have available, this is a solid box, so it's filled in. And for my design, I just want an outline, so I'm going to select this guy. And there's too many. I'm going to make this whatever size I want just by clicking the corner and bringing it down. And then I'm going to take it and move it over here by my margin near the top of the page, just like that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need more than one box. So I'm going to click on this, and then there's two different ways you can do this. You can click on this duplicate button to make another box, like that, or you can select Control D on your keyboard. Okay, so if I just hit Control D, it's now copying it all the way down, just like that, and it spaced it out exactly the same, which is really nice. Next, we're going to want to add some lines onto our checklist. So let's go over here to Elements and Lines and Shapes. Where are they? Oh, I have it selected as square. That's why I'm not seeing it. Okay. Lines and Shapes. I'm going to select a line, just a plain line, and then I'm going to move this up here so it's lined up with my checkbox like this. And I'm going to move it so it's nice and long. And lines up with the other margin. Okay. Now let's say this line, you think it's too thick. You don't want something that thick. So you can come in here, you can change your line weight. So I can say select 2, hit enter. I can change the style, so I can make them dotted like this or leave it solid. All right. the next thing I'm going to do is I want to make a bunch of them. Duplicate. So that we have a line next to each check box. Let me make sure I've got that lined up. That's perfect. And I'm just going to go Control D, Control D, Control D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 more. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now a really, really cool trick you can do is take this bottom line, move it down here, okay? Line that up how you want it. And then I'm just simply going to use my mouse. I have my finger on the left key, the left button, and I'm going to select all of my lines. I'm going to select position and tidy up. Look at that. And it's going to evenly space them for me. And I'm just going to move it over. And then I can line it up however I want, vertically or horizontally. And you have a nice set of lines. So here you have a basic checklist. And this is a nice template. And you can see that it took me around 8 minutes or so to create this. So not too bad to create from scratch. Now let's make it look pretty. Okay, so what you can do is you can change, let's say we want to make this into a wedding checklist. I'm going to show you some tricks to do that. So let's just change our title. Let's call it wedding. All right. And then let's say this is going to be checklist. And then let's say checklist, we want it to be a different font. Playlist. And we'll make it really big. So we're going to make this nice. Move this over here. And I'm going to space it. And I still want it to be there. Okay. You can just do something like that for now. I'm going to center it on the page. Okay. Wedding checklist. The next thing I'm going to do is just select a square from shapes to use as an overlay. So I'm just going to put this here, and drag it down here. I'm going to change the color to white and position it in the back. Position to the back. And this is so that I have something behind all of my elements that's white for the next thing that I'm going to do, which is I'm going to add a background on here so that we have a cute border. So I'm going to go over here to background. And I'm going to go to my recently used ones, but you can choose whatever you would like. And I'm just going to click on this guy. Isn't it cute? And let's say I want to see those flowers a little bit through there. What I can do is just go to my transparency on this white box and bring it down a little bit. And then you can see how the pattern shows just a little bit through here. You could leave this blank for your audience so they can write whatever they want. Or if you prefer to give them the checklist of things to look for, you would simply come over here and add text boxes for each line and type in your steps. Another thing you might want to do is add your website down at the bottom here. You could do that simply by, you could bring this down a bit so they'd be able to see it. And then you would just take and create another text box, bring it on down here. And just, I would make it light in color. And then you could add your website, which, you know, your company. Okay, and then any of these text boxes, you can change the colors. You can change the font over here. You can change the size. You can change the color. So cool thing, if you have a photo color, like a background like this, you could go in and pick a color, and then let's say you think that's too light, you could come over here and do this to darken it up but have it in the same family. Or if you have a hex code you want, you can put it in over here. What else? You can make it bold, italic, underline, all capital. You can align it different within the box, bullets. You can change the spacing, so if I do that, you can see it spaces the letters out more. You could animate it, which you wouldn't really use that for a printable, but just to show you, yeah, see there's different animations you could use. There's also effects. You could add a shadow, a lift, neon, a background, whatever you want to do, glitch. So many fun things. All right, and then when your design is all done, all you're going to do is push share, download, and you're going to select PDF print and then hit the download button, and that will put the PDF file on your computer, and then you can deliver that off to your audience through your email service provider, or however you want to do that. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.